Mini Man Shed. In this update, I'm going to try and get the subframe back in the car, yeah, get everything prepared to put the engine back in once I get a crane. So let's crack on. I've got some parts to show you which are super exciting. Check this out. This is the reason why I took my steering rack out, which I discovered had a bit of play in it. So I decided to splash out a little bit. This item right here is well, this old one is probably the original one in the car. It's 2.7 turns left to right, lock to lock. This one here is 2.2. It's a fast rack, and the reason for this is because obviously Mini is not the fastest car in the world, especially when it's got a 998 engine. But I'm not interested in going super fast because I would just end up losing my license, because that's just how I roll. But for me, it's the drivability. You know, having great fun. These cars, we all know, are brilliant to drive. Just having a bit of fun at reasonably low speeds. You know, little twisty roads. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, I splashed out, got myself a quick rack, just to make the steering a bit more responsive, a bit more fun. I also splashed out on this bad boy, which is a quick shift from Mini Spares, and also that bad boy, which they call a slick shift. And what it does, I'm sure you've seen these before. But what I want to do, I want to crisp up my gear shift. So this will centralize the gear shift in the H pattern, and put it into between third and fourth, I think. So it centralizes it every time you put it into neutral. It brings it back to the center, so you're not fishing around for gears. And also the quick shift just shortens the stroke between gears. So my idea with this is to make it a bit more responsive, a bit more crisp, and enjoy. You know, increase my driving enjoyment. You know, we'll see. But also my take on it is the crisper you can make the link between your steering and the steering wheel and your gear stick and your gearbox. I reckon that means there's less wear on components. You know, you're more definite going into which gear you're going into. So this episode is all about fitting these into the car with a subframe, and then we'll get ready for the engine. So hope you enjoy. So for me, the first thing to do is kind of centralize the rack approximately, because you never know exactly, you know, if it's centralized or not, but more or less. The track rod ends I had on the other my old steering rack are pretty good, although I have noticed that the rubbers are starting to perish a little bit, and they're only like not even a year old or something. So rubber products are not what they used to be, but they'll have to do for the moment. So I've noticed that the the threads on the end are approximately the same length. The racks are approximately the same length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist off the track rod end, count how many turns it comes off, and then relocate it on the new one. The lock nut that's on my original the lock nuts that are on my original rack I've seen are a bit worse for wear. So I found these in my collection, which are a bit kind of good, the right thread, but a bit more heavy duty. So I'm going to use them as the lock nuts. So I'll do one end, and then I'll do the other end off camera, and then we'll move on from there. So I've got the other lock nut threaded on to the track rod end, and we just go, oh, it should come off. I hadn't listened. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's on the back. And the rest is on the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now we just move the lock nut up, tighten it in place. I'm not going to do it too tight because this is going to need obviously setting up. What I did do was put a little bit of copper grease on the thread, just so that when these come back off again, it makes life a little bit easier. So I'll move on to the other end, do that, and then we'll bring it over to the car. So here we are, ready to install the steering rack. What I've done is I've just lifted it up with the jack with a bit of a block of wood. Just lifted it into the kind of general position. It's not connected. I haven't taken the column out of the car. It's not really necessary. You just have to have the spline on the steering rack through the hole, and we'll deal with that in a minute. But first of all, what we're going to do is we've got the clamps to go on, which I've taken all the old paint off and repainted them in a bit of chassis black. Take them off. What you've got here is these are friction strips, and the temptation is to take these off. But to me, they're there for a reason. Whatever that reason is, to stop the friction, stop it squeaking, all that kind of stuff. So even if you don't want to buy these, I think all they're made of is a bit of polythene, thick polythene. So I'm sure you could make your own. This is what I've done. I made some of my own. I'm just going to slip it on the clamp like that. Make sure it's kind of centralized. There's a channel. There's a channel here on your rack. That's where the clamp goes through. So there, you just wiggle it through the holes. Might take a bit of wiggling. And there, that's in. And just make sure that the friction strip is kind of flat and equal in the middle of the channel for the clamp. Just give it a bit of a push through. And what I might do is just nip into the car and do the nuts up on that, just to give it an extra bit of support so it doesn't fall away in my head. So I'll be back in a minute. P.S. Don't do anything that I tell you to do. Forgot to put this foam, whatever you want to wash or seal, at the spline on the steering rack, which stops all the rain coming in on wet days and having your carpet soaking. So don't forget to put that in before you put the rack in. So I'd like to introduce to you another mini man shed, patent pending. This one's for putting your subframe back in by yourself without chipping all your brand new paint. So, hope you enjoy. I'm going to be a millionaire. It's awesome. Well, it's pretty much in. I'll just get the bolts at the front and you'll be back in a minute. So here's a handy wee trick. If you're putting your subframe in yourself and your wife won't come out and help you and hold the spanner on the other side, what I usually do is just put a couple of little sets of grips on the other side of the bolt inside the car, and when you tighten it up from the other side, it just holds it enough for you to tighten the nuts up. Obviously you have to go easy so that these are not spinning around and chipping your paint, although it's inside of your car. But these ones got rubber at least on one end, so if they kind of flop around, they're not going to chip too much paint. But I'll just take you underneath. Hold on. There we go. I put some nice new hardware on, and some nice new nuts and bolts. So I can tighten it up. It just holds it enough for you to get the nut tightened. It stops it from spinning on the other side, Let's tighten a wee bit. There we go. There we go. A little tip that some may know, some may not, but anything to make your life easier, eh?